Hello everyone. Today we're going to speak about the themes handled in The Last Leaf. The Last Leaf was a novel written by O. Henry at the beginning of the previous century in 1907. It's really famous. It is really famous for its so many themes. It handles so many themes. So let's start the first one. Here we have The Last Leaf. This one is an artificial one. This one are real ones. So let's start the first one. The first theme here is depression. So, do you think that depression is a silent killer? When we speak about depression, this is some kind of mental disorder in which people lose interest in anything. They don't like to eat, they don't like to drink, they barely eat, they barely drink, they barely go out, they barely see anyone. The same applies to Johnsy in our story. Like here we have two friends, we have Sue and we have Johnsy. Both of them were unmarried girls, they were friends, they were sharing the same flat. Uh, Johnsy, she was extremely sick because she, contracted pneumonia. Pneumonia is some kind of infection. It's a lung infection. And when people have this kind of infection, they couldn't breathe easily. So it's hard for them to breathe. To make it worse, she was not only suffering from pneumonia, she was also suffering from depression. And depression was about to kill her. It was the real reason behind her death. If she died, if she would have died, like depression would be the reason, would have been the reason, not pneumonia. So my question is, do you think that depression could be a silent killer? Yes. And why, like, according to this story, yes. Why? Because like when she was able to recover from depression, she was able to live. She was able to, to fight pneumonia. She was able to fight her physical disease. And how could she fight it? Actually, she did not fight it at the beginning. Like her friend Sue, she kept cheering her up, trying to take her mind off her illness, and she tried to do her best to help her friend get over it. And also we had like the other man who Berman, who was 60 years old, and he was the one who sacrificed her life for her actually to help her survive. They were her friends. So the theme, we can say that depression is really hard, and it even can be harder than other physical diseases. People like are like they withdraw from any kind of life. They don't like to eat or drink or go out or meet anyone. The same applies to Sue, to Jonesy. She was sleeping all the time. She was lying all the time. She was not interested in clothes. She was not interested in, like, in anything that could cheer her up. So here we have the first thing. Depression is a silent killer, but it can easy. It is not incurable. Like having social company, having real friends around someone or around the person can help him or her get over it. So this is the first theme. Yes, the second one, here we have honesty is not always the best policy. Yeah, it's true that honesty should be the best policy, and it is the best policy, but not under circumstances, not under all circumstances. So, in order to apply our story, Sue, the doctor talked to Sue, and he told her that her friend is about to die. He told her that her chances of survival, are 1 in 10. So it means she was about to die. Definitely, she was dying. And what did she say? She told her friend Johnsy that the doctor was like 100% confident that you're living, that you're about to die. You're not going to die. She said that the doctor told you that I'm dying. Johnsy said that. Sue replied that no, the doctor was 100%, he was confident that you're not going to die. So here we can say that one. The other theme, it is not the most important theme still, but let's say that it's one of the themes handled in our story. Honesty is not always the best policy. So, for example, in order to cheer her friend up, she didn't tell her the truth in order not to hurt her feelings. So, when you think about this, we can say that sometimes you don't have to tell the truth to avoid hurting others, to make others reconcile with each other. The point is, in under very few circumstances, people are allowed to tell a white lie in order to make it better for others, in order to facilitate life for others. So here, when Sue didn't tell the truth about her friend's health, she was actually helping her, trying to help her. So honesty is not always the best policy in that case. Yes, so here we have this one. The following theme is friends have to be identical for their friendship to last. It means that in order to have a friend, you have to make sure that this kind of friend shares the same interests you have. You can never be different in order to avoid any kind of conflicts or disputes. So you have to be the same. like identical? In this story, no. Yeah, it's true that Sue and Janzi, like they share a lot of things. Both of them are like artists. Both of them are poor. They share the same flat. They are both of them are kind and gentle. But like let's when you think about like they were not identical. Like let's speak about the reaction. The reactions are not the same. For example, when Johnsy felt seriously ill, she was extremely pessimistic. She was looking at life from a very dark point, like perspective. Her friend was extremely worried, but she was always trying to be optimistic. She was always trying her best to cheer her friends up. And when they both of them knew that the last leaf would fall during the night, and then they found out that it didn't fall, what was the reaction of Sue and what was the reaction of Johnsy? Johnsy said that no, yeah, it didn't fall. Like this leaf did not fall last night, but it will fall today, tonight. I know that it will fall tonight, and it's just a matter of time. And I'm sick of waiting. I'd like to die. This was the reaction of Johnsy, the patient. Her friend, the caregiver, she said that, no, she said that you are not going to die. Like the leaf did not fall. So, like, it seems that you're not going to die. In order to make it easy for you, like here we have Sue and Johnsy was the sick one, and she thought that she was looking out of her window. She was lying, in her bed, and she thought there was an ivy creeper outside her window. She thought she connected her life. She was sick, and she connected her life to the last leaf falling. She said that once the last leaf falls, I will die. So here, like this is the background of the story. So when the last leaf did not fall, like her reaction was, it's a matter of time, I will die. John C. Still. However, Sue said, no, you're not going to die. So here we have one of them is extremely pessimistic, the other one is extremely optimistic. So here they were not the same, they were not identical, the reactions are not the same. And also they didn't have the same background. One of them, they were raised in different states, so they didn't have the same social rules, or let's say that social atmosphere, so they were not 100% identical. So you can say that our friend doesn't have to be our reflecting mirrors. Your friend does not have to be the same as you. It would be boring if you have actually like the same friend, like sharing the same interest. It's really good, but it could be kind of boring, and you're not going to learn anything new from each other. But when you have a different friend, not necessarily too different from you, so it could be helpful. I mean, like it could help with learning new things, trying new dishes, trying like new mechanisms. So sometimes it helps and helps well. So here we have this one. The following theme is life is worth fighting for. I mean, is life worth fighting for? Is life too good to the degree that we should fight in order not to lose it, to stay survive? Like, I mean, to stay alive? I mean, like, again, in other words, is it permissible to wish for this? Like, is it okay to wish for this? According to this story, no. And even in general, no. Like, life is worth fighting for, yes. Believe it or not, yes. Despite all the depression prevailing, despite all the problems, like, still life is worth fighting for. Why? Because like when you're alive, you can be a constructive member in your community. You can do a lot of good deeds. You can make up for your mistakes. You can help other people. You can have good days. Who knows? Maybe your good days are to come. So, but people who wish to die, they don't know actually what would happen after dying. No, it's like somehow we don't know. Nobody like come back alive. So the point is life worth fighting for? Yes, it is. And how can we apply to the story when John C finally changed her point of view, and she took her mind off her illness, and she started to look, to smile and to see the world differently. She said, I realized that it was a sin to wish for this, to want to die. So she said a sin. So in almost all religion, it is a sin to wish for death. People are not supposed to wish for this, except in very like I think only one condition only. But otherwise, like no matter how many problems they face, and this is the moral of the story. Like no matter how hardships we go through, no matter how many problems we face, no matter like how many beloved people we lost. The problem is life goes on. People move on. No one is going to stop. Life is not going to stop for someone's life or death. This is true. So here, is it permissible to wish for this? No, it is not permissible. She was like really sick and she was depressed. And people, when they have this kind of mental disorder, they don't think in a good way. They don't think well. So from her point of view, like she think, yeah, I'm dying and I need to die. Like this life does not isn't worth fighting for. But later on, when her depression was like much less, or let's say alleviated, she started to think that no, it is a sin to wish to die. So the moral, the lesson that we should learn from this story, that um, still we should not we shouldn't wish for this. What else? Like, yeah, masterpieces do not have to be appreciated by, yeah, the following theme, and I think this is the last theme. Masterpieces do not have to be appreciated by all people depending on a specific criteria. It is true. Masterpiece, I speak about art. We can never say that, this like work is a masterpiece. And why? Because it follows specific criteria. And sometimes there is any kind of painting. It is a masterpiece for some, and it is some kind, for others it is like such scratches, especially this kind of abstract painting and so on. So the point is, how can we apply to our story? At the end of the story, we found out that Berman, who was 6 years old, he was poor. He wasn't successful. He was not successful at all. Because he had a dream to draw, to paint his masterpiece, but he never did. His dream never came true. And at the end of the story, we discover that he painted the last leaf in order to save um, Johnson's life. So here we have this kind of leaf. It could be very simple compared to Mona Lisa, just leaf. But why it was considered a masterpiece in our story? For different reasons. Number one, like he was able to fool two artists. Like, I think it is easy to fool other people if they are not, if they don't have their own career, but it's hard for anyone to trick like other one having the same career as him or her. I think it's hard for other people to trick those who understand their fields really well. So if a man is able, Berman was able to fool both, like Sue and Jonty, into thinking that his last artificial leaf was real. They thought it was real. In fact, it wasn't real. It was artificial. It was painted. So this is number one. Number two, because like this is the purpose of art. Like he saved in real life, he saved her life. Like, Mona Lisa didn't save anyone's life. I mean, the painting of Mona Lisa, it's like it's a masterpiece. It is magnificent, but still, like this man's like painting saved someone's life, real life. And number three, despite the fact that he was very old and he was drawing it, he had a ladder and it was dark. He had to carry his lantern and he had to carry the ladder. He has to carry all his tools in order to be able to to draw it. He had he was able to control his hand and control his brush. So it means that he was really, really a good artist. And he died, he died at the end. But the point is, like here, this kind of masterpiece, it's this kind of painting is considered masterpiece not because of its artistic criteria, but because of its effect on other people, like real people. So here we have this one. So the point is we should appreciate everything, we see. It doesn't have to be magnificent or beyond belief to think that it is a masterpiece.